The Flash takes on a grim future as Brandon Vietti and Dale Eaglesham explore a future where Wally West has been replaced by something sinister, causing him to take the family's Speed Force powers and go on a worldwide killing spree. But Barry Allen hasn't given up hope, knowing that to free Wally, they just need to catch him. So for the Future State books I've read so far, this has got to be the darkest one yet. We got not one but two major deaths this issue, as Impulse and Jay Garrick were both killed while trying to help Wally West, which was something that really surprised me. But I love Brandon Vietti for going there with this story, and I love that despite how dark it got, we still had Barry continuing to believe in hope, and hope that he can save Wally. It was great to see Barry having to use his scientific know-how as well as his fatherly relationship with Wally to try and devise a way to reach the hero, and also have it connect up with the rest of the family and utilize their special skills as well, meaning everyone got a part to play in rescuing the hero. Wally, for what little we got of him this issue, was quite interesting here, since technically it's not actually Wally, it's one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse who has replaced him and is using his conduit in the Speed Force for nefarious means. I'm intrigued at the things that were hinted at by Famine and what his plans are, which seemingly go beyond the Speed Force and beyond the physical realm. I do wish we did get more of Wally in this issue, since his story is right now only half revealed, and maybe a little bit more backstory on what exactly happened to him would have been good, and I imagine they're saving that for the next issue though. Dale Eaglesham delivered some really bold and bright art, and it was a really great opposite to the dark story. The way Dale draws action and fight scenes with the characters is really awesome, and I absolutely loved how he changed his style to a softer, almost sketch-like look when the family confronted Wally. It was a great little touch to show that they were in a different frequency to the quote-unquote real world. The colours by Micah T were really fantastic as well, and he and Dave have done a lot of work together. They did a lot of the Shazam book by Jeff Johns recently, and they are a great team with lovely bright colours really popping thanks to Dale's solid line work. Future State Flash issue 1 was an interesting and surprisingly dark look at a possible future for the Flash family, delivering a deeply personal story for Barry and his kin. Despite the dark nature of the story, I enjoyed we still have Barry's classic never give up, hopeful attitude to count on. Wally's portion of the book, while I know some people will be unhappy with it, I quite enjoyed, and I'm hoping in the next issue we get a little bit more backstory, since a lot wasn't really alluded to here, and I'm looking forward to that being more open and explored now that we actually have an idea that he is Famine and Wally is still somewhere out there. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10. Future State The Flash issue 1 heads to the castle, Checkmate's headquarters in the Alps, where the organization uses the Thinker to move its many pieces around the world as the Flash family, decked out with the rogue's weaponry, arrive via a mirror, taking down Checkmate's operation and trapping the escaping Thinker. The villain says that he's miscalculated since he modified DeVoe's original Thinker cap to be powered by his own bioelectricity. The Flash realizes though they are not fighting the Thinker, they are fighting the Calculator, who blasts the heroes with his new and improved thinking cap, proclaiming that he now has multiplied his intelligence by Checkmate's network, and that equals doom for the Flash family. Calculator knows that something is wrong though, since all of the speedsters lost their speed, but doesn't know how or why they are using stolen weapons from their enemies. Suddenly, the villain is besieged by Impulse, who arrives riding Rainbow Raider's Rainbow Slide, telling the team that using the fallen villain's gadgets was genius. He takes down the villain and removes the thinking cap, knowing that they can finally save Wally. The hero is ready to leave, but Calculator has a backup plan, firing a laser from one of his calculators at the heroes. Max sees it, using the weather wand to blast the villain, but the beam hits Impulse, killing the boy. Barry retrieves Impulse's body and leaves, knowing this moment and the team of his was a failure, not remembering what happened after Impulse died, but knowing he cannot let Bart's sacrifice be in vain. In the Speed Lab, Barry works on the thinking cap, knowing in the weeks since Bart's death, the others all lost hope, with Avery growing angry and cold to him, Jay becoming fearful as his age catches up to him thanks to no Speed Force, and Max Mercury feeling guilt over what happened to Bart. He knows he shares their grief, but cannot let them see the pain he has. He finishes off his recording to his ring, wishing he could store the storm of emotions he feels inside of it, like he does his words. Barry remembers when Wally got his powers and it forced him to step into a father figure role, but then something happened in the Speed Force and it changed Wally, making him hungry for something else, which made him take Barry's speed along with the rest of the speedster's powers. Barry knows that it was this thing inside him that also made him murder Wallace when he attacked Titan's Academy, and now for 5 years he's refused to lose hope in saving the man, and with the instincts of a father driving him, he vows to save Wally from whatever has transformed him into a monster. Barry finishes his work on the thinking cap, redesigning it on Jay's old helmet. He bags it up and accidentally knocks a light off the table, too slow to grab it, so the bulb smashes, sending the lab into darkness, making the man realize he can't even save himself from darkness. Barry heads home, passing a huge protest outside the Flash Museum where the people demand the Flash be freed. Iris soon contacts Barry, telling him about the Global Guardians having a run-in with a speedster in North Africa, a speedster who reportedly killed some of the Guardians. Iris knows that while Barry still holds out hope for Wally, she's concerned that he'll come for him next. Barry tells her that he's heading to Avery's place and he's got a plan, but the call drops. He knows the police are shutting down the local cell towers thanks to the riots that are breaking out as he speeds through the town on his moped, arriving at Avery's apartment where the news reports of the speedster killings. Avery, Jay and Max all agree that it's time to stop Wally and he's beyond saving at this point, but Barry refuses to give up hope. Avery says that she had hope through everything Wally did, but now her teammates on the Global Guardians are dead thanks to Wally, so there is no hope left for him. Barry is adamant that Wally is still inside and whatever that thing out there is, it isn't their friend, and he knows their Wally has been trying to signal him for help. Barry remembers when Wally took on Captain Cold alone years ago, but he wasn't ready and it almost killed the boy had he not intervened to teach Wally one of his flash facts. Barry says that the best plan when facing a tough opponent is to stall for time to wear the villain down or allow for backup to arrive. Barry thinks that Wally is signaling them with this flash fact and stalling for backup, since why else hasn't he come to kill them yet, since they are all the most qualified people to do so, yet the villain hasn't even bothered to touch them. Barry shows the group the helmets he made, which will amplify the mental powers so they can connect their brain waves to Wally's mental speed force resonance frequency, a frequency that thanks to Max's hyper meditation they will be able to find. Barry puts on the helmet, knowing with their combined will they can overpower whatever has taken Wally's body and expel it without harming his body or Wally. The team agree, donning the helmets and linking their minds thanks to Max's powers. Max guides them, telling them to remember the feeling of the speed force flowing through them. The power catapults the team's minds to Japan, where the corrupt Wally West continues his killing spree. The family try and stop him as they see the real Wally is trapped within his own frequency. He tells the family he cannot stop and something is using him to kill. Wally reveals that Famine, the rider of the apocalypse, has possessed him and he's been hiding in his mind and the speed force. Barry tells Wally that he did good but backup is now here to help. Avery wants him to reconnect them to the speed force, but Wally says he can't since he's too weak, so Barry offers to lend them their strength. Wally says that they can't do that since Famine will drain and kill them all. Avery knows that they need to do something as Jay is grabbed by Famine, who says he's known that they were there and Wally was there the entire time, but he couldn't resist letting Wally fuel their despair while he fed on them. The rest of the team begin to feel weak as Barry rushes the villain, passing right through him as Famine sucks all of the energy from Jay as the rest of the family experience a psychic feedback through their helmets. Wally says that Famine doesn't just feed on the physical, but before he can tell the family what the villain is really after, he is sucked back into his own body. Famine says that their little confrontation has proved quite satisfying as the team are all returned to their physical bodies thanks to Iris arriving and ripping the helmets from them. The family aren't all lucky though, as Jay was killed by Famine, his heart giving out when he returned to his body. Jay knows that he can't save Wally now, but he knows what he must do next. As Max and Avery recuperate in the speed lab, Barry opens his evidence lockup, intending on using all of the weapons he has gathered from the rogues to combat the speed force and Famine, intending on stopping him for good now.